Hey folks, Chuck here at Hillbilly Half Acre Homestead again. Hope you're having a great day. You know what this is? We haven't showed these to you before. It's a new project we've been working on since, well, this spring. We actually drove, I don't know, a couple hours to pick up a pretty good abundance of quail eggs. These are Coturnix Quail. There's a couple of pharaohs in there. The white ones are a Texas A&M variety. They are also, as you can tell by the spots, some of the white ones are mixed with the fawn and the pharaoh. These are all male, best I can tell. These are supposed to be all males in this cage. We separated the males and everything. We're going to have, I'm going to hang on to these guys long enough to check the fertility with some of the eggs that we're receiving. And then I'm just going to, once I determine that the fertility in the eggs that we are getting from the hens is okay, it's good, then these guys are going to become lunch. Never tried quail myself, and I'm looking forward to it. These guys are looking mighty tasty. Well, maybe without the feathers. Okay, this is basically culls. These are going to end up being food. Now we're going to come over here. I know this is a mess. We need to get this straight, but what I did was I built these cages. These cages, I think we've got them there 30, if I remember right, to 30 inches by 24 inches, and I think they're about 8 inches tall. This is all wire, one by one wire in the walls, 1/2 by 1 inch in the bottom. Okay, and we've got 3 to 6 quail in each one. I see we've got some algae blooming in this jar too. That's going to need a little bleach water. I made the rack. I've seen the stacked brooders in the catalogs and what have you. Those things are like $1,000 bucks. I can't afford that. So I had the wire, the J-clips. I made the cages. Okay. I also made the frame. This is just 1x2 lumber. 1x2 lumber, and I think this is probably 1x2. Which would be 3/4 by something or other. Anyway, I'm not here to teach you carpentry, but this is what I did. I built this tray right here. I need to get a handle on there, but this has got galvanized metal on top of it to help preserve the wood and make it last longer, but it's catching all the droppings, keeping the birds below clean. The very bottom one obviously doesn't have a tray. It's falling directly onto the ground. But I had room to put another cage down there, but I didn't, you know, I don't know, it's too hard on those fat folks to reach down that far to tend to them, so I just stopped with 3. And let's see, what have we got in the center one here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one, and we got 3 up top here. So anyway, so we're getting started with the Coturnix Quail. It seems to have been fairly successful so far. I was told that at 6 to 8 weeks they would start laying eggs. Well, it's taking these a little longer than that. Okay, these guys were, I think, a little over 10 weeks old when we started getting eggs. Okay, and I don't know if you can see this, but this egg is just laying in here on the wire. That's the way the quail do it. They're domesticated to the point they don't really have, I don't know, the nesting instinct that wild quail would have. They just, wherever they happen to be, they feel the need to lay an egg, they just squat and they lay an egg and then just go on about their business and just leave it there. Okay? I've never seen or heard of one of these. I'm not saying they won't, but very rarely will you get them to go broody and actually sit on their eggs and hatch them. But they are very prolific. While these eggs are tiny, right in here. There it is.
Hold it close in case, you know, someone ain't seen a quail egg.
And I'm going to hold it up to my thumb. You can see the size of these. You see the size of these quail eggs. Okay, you've never seen one before. Okay, they got the little spots. All right. These eggs are very nutritious. They're just as good as any other egg. In fact, I've heard it said, I don't know why, but I've heard it said that these are better for you than chicken eggs. But here's the thing, okay? You see me, you can tell I'm used to eating. How many of those would I need for breakfast? Well, anyway, I haven't tried them yet. Right now, most of these are going right back into the incubator. We're going to raise some young ones. Because I tell you what, I think rather than try to eat this little thing for eggs, I'd rather eat what hatches and grows up out of it for meat. So, and we are gonna allow some people to purchase these, you know, if we can manage to be successful, you know, if a person, you know, it's really, you know, I don't think just a hobby backyard homestead. I don't think you could ever really make a living at it. But I mean, I'm not saying you can't, but I don't think with what space that we have to keep critters here, I don't think we'll ever make a living at it. And really, that's not the point. We enjoy it, okay? And the thing of it is you know, if the end happens tomorrow, we can say we know how to grow something to eat, okay? A lot of people can't say that. A lot of people think that eggs and meat grow in the supermarket. And naturally, you know, that's not the case, obviously, but there are many people, you know, when there's some kind of an economic collapse or some kind of nuclear holocaust or, you know, the beginning of the end, so to speak, well, you know, you're not going to be able to run to the store, okay? And yeah, you're not going to have power, you're not going to have running water, so yeah, you need to know how to filter your water. You need to learn how to live without power. And I say this, and I know you can hear that air conditioner running in the background, right? So I said you need to know how to go without power. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go without power now when you don't have to. But you need to know how to manage. These little guys, look how little space they take up. They don't eat a lot. Like I said, please forgive the mess. We got a scraper, and what we do is we can either pull these off, pull these out. But I think what I did when I made them, I think they were made a little bit tight. And now that they've drawn moisture and what have you, I think they're going to be a little tight pulling them in and out. So first time, if I can get them out, I may have to sand them down a little bit to make them a little more free sliding in there. I wanted a tight fit, but I think I may have forgotten to allow for expansion in there, so we'll see what happens. But if worst comes to worst, we've got that out far enough from the wall of the house there. If not, we'll scoot it out a little more. We can always take a scraper and push that stuff, because there's probably, what, a couple of inches, an inch and a half, something like that. There's a male saying, hey, I'm the male. That's the way Coturnix Quail roosters, that's their crow. But we can take a scraper and scrape that and push it out the back, let it fall into a pile, and you know, then scoop it up, put it on the compost heap or what have you. The litter, if you're into that thing and you're gardening, it's just as good. You compost it with some straw or something like that, and it's just as good, if not better, than chicken litter. Of course, naturally here we have chicken manure, we have rabbit manure, we have the whole 9 yards, and so you know, if I could build a trellis that tall, we'd probably have tomato plants that are probably about 7 or 8 feet tall right now. But yeah, they're loving it. If you have any questions about the quail, we're fairly new at it, but we've done pretty extensive amount of research, and we like I said, we've hatched all of these. We hatched out in our incubator here. We had to go and get the eggs from somebody else naturally, but that was cheaper. Okay, I think it was like 10 dozens of quail eggs for like $2.50 a dozen, and I bought so that was like, you know, I ended up bringing home 147 eggs because he put in some extras, and I'm glad he did, because we got like less than 50% hatch rate. It was so early in the year that it was the first eggs that he had been collecting this year, and the fertility rate is kind of down when they first pick up in the spring. So you know, it was a chance, and that's one reason that I bought so many. I knew I didn't need 100 and whatever. So we ended up with 60, and learning do's and don'ts as far as brooding and what have you with these guys. We lost you know, several. So these guys, when they hatch out, you know, they're about little bitty yellow things about like that, and you'll think they're super delicate. They're super delicate, and they are. But when it comes to temperature and keeping them warm and everything, they're not nearly as delicate as a baby chicken. You know, baby chicken is just, you know, if it gets the least little bit chilled, you may as well write it off, because very rarely will you have one to live. And even if it does, it's not going to grow out right. Its growth is going to be stunted in some way. So, anyway, they're so for you people who don't have a lot of space, you know, provided you make adequate preparations to catch droppings and what have you, you can grow these in your. You could have these in a garage. You know, say if you live somewhere where you weren't allowed to have animals out in your yard and what have you, you know, as far as turkeys and chickens and ducks and things like that. You can grow these in a stacked configuration like this in your garage. Like I said, just, you know, you make allowances for collecting the litter and keeping the mess cleaned up. And the little sound that you heard the rooster make a minute ago, that's the loudest noise you're going to ever hear out of them. Now, sometimes they can get carried away and they'll just go nuts, crowing and crowing and crowing and crowing. But usually that's first thing in the morning. A lot of times, just as the sun's coming up and shortly after, I'll hear these little fellers out here, and it seemed like just one right after the other are out here crowing. Of course, that's all the ones in this other cage over here doing it as well. But anyway, finally got a chance to show you the quail. Like I said, we've had these since what, February or March, something like that. We started them really early. Wanted to kind of know a little bit more about them, enough maybe to at least make a video halfway interesting for you guys. I don't mean to make this stuff. Now that's a hen, and see that? She sounds like a cricket. In fact, when these guys were small, we had them in a brooder, in a plastic tote, in a brooder with a light on them in our dining room on a counter in there, and we thought we had crickets loose in the house. And finally, we realized that it was the quail doing it. It's a soft, peaceful little sound. I mean, they're cute little birds, and they're fairly tame. These don't get handled as much anymore, but they're fairly tame. I mean, they don't just run away from your hand. If you don't keep them fairly tame, you'll start having a problem with they'll fly up and they'll bust their heads on top of the cage if you startle them. See, I don't think I'm gonna hold this rascal up close to my shirt if I can help it. I don't want it to jump out of my hand either, though. It's in a hurry. It's wanting to go. It wants to fly. Fly away, Stanley. Be free. Anyway, they're cute little rascals.
I think that's wanting to melt.
It doesn't seem to be real happy about being held, but anyway, they're cute little rascals. They weigh probably, I'm gonna say,
Not even
dressed 4 to 6 ounces probably. So, which is why I guess if you've ever eaten quail or something like that, bought it in the supermarket or eaten it in a restaurant, it's a pretty expensive dish. And the reason for that is, you know, you take the whole bird and you get what, 4 to 6 ounces tops out of it, and that's and you don't even get that after they're cleaned. So the way our family eats, it takes a pretty good amount of them to make a meal. So been looking forward to trying these guys for a long time. We might one of these days, we get some more females going and get a little more eggs coming out of them, we might try some pickled quail eggs. I don't know if I'd like that or not. A lot of people like pickled quail eggs. I don't know if I like them or not, but I'm on a reserve judgment until I get a chance to try them at least. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about the quail, you know, just like with anything else that we have around the homestead, just give us a buzz some way, you know, let's say Hillbilly Homestead at outlook.com, or just leave a comment down below the video here. I'll get back to you. Sometimes I go a day or two without getting on YouTube or whatever, or to where I can get a notification that I've got a comment or a message from somebody. So just, you know, bear that in mind. If I don't get right back with you, that's why. But I will get back with you if needed. We've got 3 young white Chinese geese out here that, provided if Junior can take care of the predator issues around here, they should grow up. They'll be nice and strong, and we have extra ganders. We may have those for Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. Oh, you didn't hear that, right? Okay. Don't pay any attention to me. I'm talking about some other gander. Okay. Anyway, we've got, like I said, we got 4 or 5 in the house, 6, something like that. Hopefully they'll all grow up nice and healthy, and we'll have a pretty good flock of geese next year, and we'll get them all to laying. Why, we'll have some goose eggs to part with, maybe, or some chicks we can hatch out, and we'll have some that we can part with. But well, I've rambled on and on and on and on here, and I'm sure the people who found me boring, like usual, have probably already clicked the big red X or what have you. But anyway, those of you that are still around, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and as always, God bless.